Welcome, everyone. We're going to start now. My name is Sergio Rivero. I'm the director of the chair in Contemporary China at the Latin American Faculty of Social Sciences. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this event. The chair in Contemporary China, it's a brand new project from our General Secretariat in cooperation with the Embassy of People's Republic of China in Costa Rica and the Institute of Latin American Studies of the Chinese Academy of Social Science.
Thank you, Sergio. Gracias a todos. Mi español es no bien, so sorry, I have to give this presentation in English. It is a great pleasure to be able to share with you some of our progress on the China side for the digital Silk Road. So let me share my screen. So hello everyone. The topic that I'm going to talk about today is digital Silk Road, and I'm going to talk about the applications and some of the key initiatives between China and Latin America and the Caribbean countries. As Sergio just introduced, I'm a professor at the university. I'm also serving as the director of the technical committee on virtual reality and the visualization of the China Computer Federation. So when we talk about digital technologies, we usually refer to 5 elements. These 5 elements are typically called ABCDEs, namely A is for artificial intelligence, B is for blockchain, C is for cloud computing, D is for data technology, and E is for edge computing. So sometimes we talk about virtual reality, or more recently, we talk about digital twins and also metaverse. These are basically technologies developed upon virtual reality and the ABCDE technologies. These are the system and application technologies that use these fundamental information technologies to build applications and form the digital base for our development. So before we introduce other applications, let's imagine that in the world that the people from China and Latin America and the Caribbean countries can communicate without any geographic barrier and distance. So 2 years ago, myself and 3 of my students who are studying overseas in China, they are from Ecuador. We did an application that you can use your own picture and to get into a virtual world and read the Chinese poem together. So here I'm going to play the video. Oh, Sergio, can we hear the video? The audio in the video?
No, actually, that's what I was going to say. I think it doesn't.
Yeah. Sorry, lost. Let me reshare with sound.
You can reshare from your computer.
Yeah, let me reshare with the sound option. Okay, now we should have sound. Oh, okay.
静也是立白，创建密为光。
已是地上霜，
举头望明月，
低头思故乡。
静也是。
So the Chinese they read in this video may sound a little bit new to everyone, but they are actually reading a very classical Chinese poem. It's called Meditation in a Full Moon Night. It basically talk about people's feeling, the poet's feeling in a full moon night, and missing his family and friends. So this is a very complex cultural matter, but through the digitization, that's myself and 3 of my students can actually get into the virtual world, read the poem together, and understand each other. So this is the example that the people in China and Latin America and the Caribbean countries can actually communicate with digital technology with relatively low cost and can better understand each other.
立白
So we are talking about digital technology as if it is new, but actually it is not. So China next year is going to hold the Winter Olympics in Beijing. And back to 13 years ago, when China holds the first Beijing Olympics, the sports stadium was not built until 4 months before the games. So that means that makes it difficult for people to watch the games, to plan a trip to China and watch the games. For that one, the Chinese government actually built a digitized national sports auditorium, and then they used a full virtual reality application to replay that game. So this is a screenshot of the system built at that time. That was 13 years ago. And now for the Winter Olympics, similar thing, technology is going to be used to model the Winter Olympics stadium in digital world, and everyone from the world can actually explore and play in the Winter Olympics stadium. So I'm going to later play the video for these applications. So when we talk about the Silk Road, especially the Silk Road between China and Latin America and the Caribbean countries, we usually think the distance is very long. And it is the fact that to fly from China to Latin America takes at least 30 hours and even more. So if we need to communicate over the Silk Road using traditional methods, that we have to bear high cost and the long travel time. And because of the cost is high and the travel time is also high, so a small portion of people can benefit from the exchange and communication. However, with digital technologies, we can reduce the cost, we can reduce the travel cycle, and because of this, we can have a much wider group of people that can benefit from this exchange and communication and collaboration. For example, virtual museums are representative projects that in these museums, we can show the point of interest in China and also in the Latin America and the Caribbean countries. And the advantage of this, you can actually visit these museums at any time with any device. You can just use a phone or PC to visit these museums. There's no cost to get into these museums, and also there's no time difference. So now let me play some video of the virtual Olympic Stadium and also the museum. Just give me one moment. So one moment, let me share my screen because I need to play the video.
Fine, take your time. That's
Yeah.
all.
Share the screen. Oh, hold on. Let me, I forgot to share the sound again. Let me share the sound.
But yeah, you
Share.
need to remember to click so it actually shares the audio from your computer. It happens to me all the time, don't worry.
Yeah, so now I'm playing the virtual music. So this is the Chinese national sports stadium. It's called the Bird Nest. It's in the center of Beijing. And this replay basically shows in 2008. That's the opening ceremony, what was made at the stadium. And this video, the video 2008. So this is not animation. This is actually the virtual reality application, and you can watch from any angle at any time. Now let me play the virtual stadium, the museum for you. So this is a virtual museum in ancient examination systems. So how the government administer exams, how the Chinese talents are selected to become government officials back in the 5,000 years, how China evolved its education and examination system. You can see in the virtual museum, you can actually take any time, and it has great detail. Basically, watch about these heritage materials. So another thing is complex for other people to learn the Chinese language is the character. So Chinese language is a character-based language. It has more than 3,000 characters. These characters are modeling. Initially, they were modeling the shapes of things. For example, in China, we have 12 zodiacs. We have animals for ears. We have the mouse, we have the cow, we have the tiger, we have the rabbit, and all the Chinese characters mentioning these animals were initially modeled their shape. However, with 3,000 years, the shape of these characters actually changed. So when Latin American people start to learn Chinese characters, they are often confused, and how the modern Chinese character actually models the shape of these things. So for this one, we can use digital technology to build animation and show how these characters were evolved through these years. So let me now play the video for you.
龙是古代传说中的灵异神兽，古人认为龙是灵虫之长，能星云致雨。甲骨文的龙字形象地描绘了龙的形象，上面是龙的犄角，下面是龙弯曲的身体。金文的龙字承袭甲骨文字形，笔画变得更加圆润。龙字发展到小篆，在金文字形的基础上进一步规整，右边龙的身躯渐渐与左边的龙头、龙身分开，字形演变为左右结构。
So you can see that with the animation, it makes character understanding much easier, especially for these characters that they have a direct meaning of the daily life things, such as animals. So this makes it much easier for people to learn Chinese characters. Another possibility to do is the instruments. So we know that in Latin America, we have a lot of instruments. We have flutes, we have marimba, we have drums, we have other instruments. And people actually can understand each other without knowing their language, as long as they know the music. So for this one, that we basically built a digital set of the Chinese ancient instruments called the chimes. Chimes is a set of bells, 65 bells that made of bronze 2,000 years ago. And we modeled these bells and then use digitize them so you can play them in a web page on a PC and you can hear the real sound. So the bells are modeled from the museum and the sound is also taken from the recorded audio in the museum. So from this one, we can basically let anyone in the Latin America and Caribbean countries play Chinese ancient instruments at no cost. So another thing is you want to know the point of interest at other countries. For example, in China, that's for when students from Latin America come to China for study, they usually face the challenge of selecting university. They don't know which university they like. So for that one, that we use the UAV, we use the drones to map about 50 Chinese university campuses and build 3D version of these campuses. So students, before they apply for Chinese degree study, they can actually they can watch the campus and choose the university they like. So let me now play the video for the university. For example, this is the university that I'm a professor at. This is Tianjin University of Technology. So with the UAV mapping, that anyone can actually, through digital technology, they can watch on the web how this university looks like. This is, we can change the day, we can change the time, we can change the weather. So you get to know how it is in winter, how it is in summer. And you can get better know the university to see if it fits your interest to be studying here. And also we model the other universities, for example, the Tianjin Polytechnic University, which is next to us. So with this one, you can basically get a very good understanding of the university. So what about not just the university, what about cities? So when we built the Silk and Road, Chinese are actually helping to build infrastructure projects in Latin America and the Caribbean countries. For example, in Colombia, the Chinese company with Canadian company Bombardier is building the first metro line, subway line in Bogota. So if you would like to see how the metro line finally built benefits the citizens, that will take several years. But we can use digital technology to map the cities and show how new infrastructure changed these cities. Here I'm going to play two videos that we modeled two Latin America country cities. One is the capital city of Quito, capital city of Ecuador, the city of Quito, and the other thing is the other city is the city of Cali in Colombia. Now let me play the video for this. So here is the city of Quito, that we can see the whole city is modeled digitally. And then for this city, for example, we can model, we can add subway lines, we can add new construction so people can see how the infrastructure construction actually helps the development of the city. So this one is for the digital Silk Road infrastructure construction projects. And also we can use digital technology to make the cities safer. We can actually build the sandbox of the cities. For example, the plazas, the train stations. And on this one, we can overlay the security camera video. So you can get a real 360-degree replay of the security camera video. And we built this in the city of Beijing and the city of Guangzhou, which is another, the fourth biggest city in China in the south part. And this one can also be used. Another thing is for medical training. Medical training is very expensive because it takes two capitals. The first one is the medical equipment. The other one is the training time. Usually medical students pays much more tuition to learn medical skills. So with digital technology, we can significantly reduce the cost to educate students. And this is especially useful during the pandemic, because in pandemic, it is there are lots of new progress of the virus that we need to quickly develop means to suit for the treatment. And also due to pandemic, we have travel restrictions for students and the training doctors to receive the training. And it is much more difficult than before. So for this one, the digital technology can help me play some digital. So this one is basically a digitized dental clinic that it shows how to train the dental school students. And for this one, we built the virtual medical record. We built the virtual medical equipment, and the virtual patient can answer questions for the doctors. And once that is done, the students receive the training, and they can choose to operate the equipment and now operate on the dental hygiene So this one actually shows how to numb the mouth area, and then just to choose to do the treatment. So this one is already now used in more than 50 Chinese hospitals. And this could be used in Latin American countries as well, because this reduces the cost of the medical training. At the same time, it achieves the same quality of the medical training, and helps to the collaboration between Chinese and the Latin American country doctors. So 5 years ago, our committee, the Committee of Virtual Reality and Visualization, start to admit Latin American and Caribbean country students to come to China to learn virtual reality and other digital technology. And they also get to know Chinese culture. And 4 years ago, we invite 2 Latin American scholars to invite China to visit China and share the research progress in Latin American countries with Chinese colleagues. So these efforts actually generated a lot of fruitful results that you have already seen some of the virtual reality systems earlier, and they also built Latin America culture movies, short movies introducing Latin America. And in 3 years ago, in 2018, we formed a virtual reality Silk Road Consortium. 6 universities from the Latin America region joined this consortium with 12 Chinese universities. They use digital technology to connect with each other and to do remote education and remote scientific collaboration. And this one is not going very well. And this was the picture that in 2008, 3 years ago, that we built we hold our first exchange activity in Cali in Colombia. And 2 years ago, before the pandemic, actually, we formed a new consortium called China VR. In Chinese, VR Zhongguo, that means China VR. That year we worked with our Colombian partners. We sent 9 Chinese professors who are all digital technology experts as volunteers to send to the city of Cali, and we hold the first Belt and Road Information Technology Summit Conference. And we attracted 300 students attending the summer school, and they learned virtual reality and artificial intelligence technology. And this one was supported by both governments on both sides. And due to the pandemic, the conference was paused last year, but this year we are going to hold it again in December in China and also in Latin America and Caribbean as simultaneously through the online connection. So we actually welcome other countries than Colombia to join us to have this conference this year. So we built how the digitalization can help infrastructure. So here I give you an example. The port of Buenaventura is the largest container port in Colombia. And on this, in this port, there is an initiative to build a new port on this island. It's this island is called the Crab Island. So the Crab Island is a new development, about 5 square kilometers, that's going to build a new port. And these 3 cycles were the old port. However, build a new port takes about 20 to 30 years of time. So for this one, we are using digital twins technology, which we basically, as you have just seen, we built a digital world of the Crab Island. And then we, on this island, we built a virtual port, but use the advanced port technology so they can show people how the new port actually operates before we start any construction. And the cost for this one is very low. So now we are working with our Colombian colleagues on this one. Another thing is the training procedure to fight the coronavirus. So last year, when the pandemic first broke out, that we work with Colombia and Brazil colleagues. We use digital technology to build an interactive game to show people how to do the sanitation, how to do the hand washing, and how to do protection. And for this one, we built a game and released that last year. This was used by quite a few schools and universities in Latin America and Caribbean country. Another project that we built is for ocean preservation. We know that in both China and the Latin America and Caribbean countries, we are facing the challenge that the pollution for the ocean and also the animal protection in the ocean is a challenge. So for this one, the Chinese and Colombian colleagues built a digital version of the tropical ocean, and we modeled the ocean reef, the sea animals in the reef, and then we are researching together how to protect these animals with the help from marine biologists. So here I'm going to play a video for you. This is not a video. This is actually a full digital world of the tropical reef. That all the fishes are virtual, all the reef is virtual, and all the environment is digitized. So through this, we can actually model the tropical ocean and research together how to protect these sea animals. For example, in the Caribbean, we have sea turtles, we have the coral reef, we have these tropical fishes, and how to protect these to avoid pollution and train people how to better protect the environment. And another project we are carrying out is we are building the virtual museums for Latin America and Caribbean countries to make Chinese people, more Chinese general public know the Latin America and the Caribbean region, because this is still far from China. And we actually look forward to have similar things that we build virtual Chinese cities for Latin America and the Caribbean general public to know more about China. So we have already done 11 virtual museums for the Latin America and Caribbean countries. So here from left to right, we have Argentina, Brazil, Venezuela, Uruguay, Panama, Peru, Bolivia. So now let me show you a virtual museum for Brazil.
欢迎来到 VR 中国“一带一路”展厅的巴西厅。在展厅的中间是巴西的著名建筑里约旧市基督像。您还可以观看巴西国家情况介绍展板。
So here we have a typical Brazil mascot, which is Amadeo, and also the Crystal, the Redeemer statue, and this virtual character basically walks you in the museum and introduce the basic information about Brazil. So we are building the 11 virtual museums for Latin America and Caribbean countries. So Chinese general public can actually get to know more about the region. From 2019, we started to build a connected universal experience lab. The idea is to use digital technology. We can build centers in Latin America that the general public can visit there, get to know China at very low cost or no cost, and they can play with virtual reality and other digital form information to get to know China. We also plan to do this bi-directional, so the Chinese people can actually get to know Latin America and the Caribbean countries. So this year, I'm glad to let everyone know that we are attracting more people joining this effort. So this year, the national competition held by our committee, the CCVR 2021, the fourth China competition on virtual reality, we used the Latin America and the Caribbean region as the contest topic. So 253 teams modeled the Latin America and the Caribbean country regions digitally. And 86 teams in the final contest used Brazil for digital modeling. And this one get very good results. So in China, we now have more and more young people who are interested in Latin America, the Caribbean region, and they are using the engineering and the digital technology to help the knowledge dissemination and also help the cultural and understanding, cultural and other bilateral understanding among each other. So that concludes my introduction. If you're interested, you can visit two of our websites. The first one is China VR website, www.chinavr.org. The other one is our current Connecting Labs Center in Cali, Colombia. It's naxlabs.usc.edu.co. And as I mentioned, we plan to build more the connected lab centers in Latin America. I look forward to have one soon in Central America and other Latin American countries. Thank you very much. That concludes my talk.
Thank you, Dr. Luo. Definitely a very interesting what's happening between Latin America and China already when it comes to the digital Silk Road. I wouldn't imagine of anything like this actually happening in our region. For the participants, the chat is open. If you have any comments or any questions, please feel free to use the chat. It could be either Spanish or English. It's fine. I do have a question to start. In your opinion, for the governments in Latin America, because you showed several examples of the things that can be done, but I cannot help to think about, since I study political sciences and economics, the cost of such projects in comparison with other technologies that are available. Is there any benefit in terms of cost benefit of using Chinese technology for the projects like the one that you were showing about the subway station in Bogota, for example?
So currently, all the projects I show are non-profit. So these are for public benefit projects that are built by Chinese researchers and scholars. Our idea is using digital technology, we can reduce the imbalance of development and actually to reduce the cost to make people know about each other. So as as far as now, these projects are for benefit and they don't bear cost for the users.
That actually makes it even more interesting now, I think, for our countries, because definitely are very interesting initiatives. And now that you're talking about that, you know, the pandemic showed the big disparities we have in Latin America when it comes to the access to technology or access to education. Like, for example, the video that you showed on how to teach using virtual technologies. How do you think the implementation of these technologies can help Latin America to reduce the technology gap that exists in our societies?
So the use of technology involves three parts. The first one is access to device. How to buy a computer, how to buy a mobile phone. The other cost is the internet service. I noticed that I don't know too much about other Latin American countries, but when I was in Colombia, the internet service cost was much higher than China. So the internet service cost is another barrier. And the third one is applications. So for our applications, these applications are free. They don't have any charge. But for people to enjoy the benefit of using them, they still solve the social inequity of access to a computing device and internet service. So I think that is a social challenge that many Latin American countries are facing now.
Definitely. And along that topic of the digital gap that exists, Carolina Romano, she's asking, how do you guys see it from the Chinese perspective? The digital gap that we have in Latin America. From your perspective, how do you see us? Is it worrisome?
No. So there are challenges, but there are also opportunities in the digital area. So basically, just as a physical gap in the digital area, there are still gaps among people for income levels. But the advantage of these gaps are easier to fill than physical ones. For example, in 20 years ago, if you need to go to school, you need to buy a car, and your family income, if you cannot support that car, you cannot go to school. But now, if your family gets the help to buy a computer, which is much cheaper than a car, that you can enjoy the distance learning. So I think, yes, in any time, the government and other agencies always need to regulate and step in to solve the digital gap. But this one is easier in the digital area than before.
Yeah, definitely technology makes things easier. It looks like, right? That makes our lives easier, and for our governments to implement such that type of projects. We have some questions here, are some technical questions. Let's see if I if you, of course you will understand them, but will help us understand a little bit better how this VR technology works. Because Germán Urbina, he's asking, what is the usual stack of technologies or set of knowledge used in order to create or use the VR technology?
Oh, so the stack actually includes the virtual reality engine, the content authoring tools, and also distribution channel. So I think for Germán Urbina, his or her question talk about, is this related or use the 5G technology? No, not necessarily, because these applications are actually packaged and can be downloaded for use. Actually, we package this and several Confucius institutes in the Latin America region, they actually downloaded this for their education. So no, it's not a streaming service. It's basically it's more like a game service you can download to use on your computer. Of course, there's a big challenge here, which my team and my colleagues are facing, is the language and culture difference between China and Latin America and the Caribbean region countries are very big. So for us, we are now doing not just the translation, but we also need to change some of the cultural element of these applications to make people better know. For example, in the digital twin ocean preservation project, that we need to change the animal to Latin America region sea animals. So that one is not just to translate that into Spanish because culture and environment are much different. But in short, no, we don't count on 5G technology. Our objective is to reduce the dependency on internet service because we know that one actually causes extra cost for the user. And that's yes.
And the need of infrastructure, because then we will need that infrastructure. So it becomes more complicated. Very good. We have a question, I'm assuming from Argentina, Marcelo. He's asking if it's possible to find agreements to transfer of knowledge between governments of cities in Argentina, for example, with China, I assume. Do you know of any projects like this?
I think that is a very interesting topic. Actually, both in China and in Latin America, the people are talking about technology transfer. And the thing is, the exchange between the two regions now at the government level, it's actually lags behind what's happening at the society level. For example, the dialogue, the requirements. So for these things, I think the scientific societies and the universities can take the lead in making such transfers and agreements in place first. And then at the government level, they can have a more wider scale initiatives, because I think the mutual understanding between the two regions still not that much. So this is exactly the objective of this seminar series, to promote the mutual understanding between each other. And I think the individuals can always take the lead first. For example, two universities, two academic societies like the technical committee I'm leading. I'm very happy to have technology transfer dialogues and the negotiations start with Latin America counterparts. So before a more wider government level agreement is in place.
Very, very, very interesting approach. Very pragmatic, actually, because what like you were saying, it's harder, or can be more difficult to try to do it from one government to the other instead of doing it directly with universities, which I think there is a big interest in finding opportunities to connect different universities and academic centers. I think could be one of the. I will take notes, and I will have it on maybe some of the projects that we can run with the chair in Contemporary China. We still have more questions. Let's see. Well, a question of the big Chinese unicorns. In your perspective, in this project of the digital Silk Road, what is the role of companies like Huawei or Didi or any other Chinese tech unicorns?
So Huawei and Didi, the typical Chinese companies that they greatly reduce the cost for access to technology. In the meantime, there are many Chinese companies that they bring market competition not just with companies outside of China, but also among Chinese companies. And these are very healthy competitions that they help to drive the price down and help to maintain the quality high. So I think Huawei and Xiaomi and Didi, these are pioneers who get into the Latin American, Caribbean region countries, and there will be more Chinese technology companies getting in, and they will just compete as they compete in China. And this eventually this benefits the consumer because that helps to bring the price down, which I have already seen when Huawei and Didi are competing with international competitors like Cisco and Uber. They helped to maintain, to bring same quality or higher quality, better quality to consumers, but drive the price significantly down. I think when the Chinese companies get into that play field, that will greatly benefit the consumer benefits, the consumers. That said, I think there is also a concern that with more Chinese unicorns coming into the region, the local innovation and entrepreneurship will be suppressed. I think that one, maybe the Chinese companies can build more localized partners. They can help to invest in local entrepreneurs, local companies, and also the local government can take some regulations that will make this foreign capital and foreign technology much more much more beneficial for the local ecosystem.
Actually, there's one question related to that. Like, how can Latin American private companies get involved, or if there's any plan to get private companies involved in the digital Silk Road?
Yeah, I think that is a government thing. Again, I don't know too much about the other Latin American countries, but I'm very familiar with Colombia. So let's take Colombia, for example. So Colombia have a new law that in the media industry, that the foreign capital can only hold less than 50% of the company share in any business operating in Colombia. So this one actually helps to protect the local industry, the local private sector companies, because any foreign company, if they would like to operate the business in Colombia in the media industry, they actually have to find a local partner. And this one helps greatly the local companies to grow. I think this is a regulation issue for the government and for lawmaking and other matters, that there are a lot of things that could be done constructively.
Excellent. Yeah, that question was from Xua Tonghe, actually. That he has been working in Chile, by the way. Hi, how are you? He visited Flacso a couple of months ago. Lucas Calvo, he's asking if you have any idea if in the near future China will be interested on trans-Pacific submarine cable systems to Latin America.
So I don't remember exactly the year, but I think 4 or 5 years ago there was initiative to build a submarine optical cable from China to Peru or Chile, I forgot exact country. But that was the president's, Chinese president, President Xi Jinping, and I forgot the Peruvian or Chile president, they had the agreement to build a submarine cable. This one is complex because it has geopolitical factors. We all know that to build such cable, that cable needs to traverse through Australia and other international waters. And such projects are not just at the discretion between China and the Latin America partners. They also get involved with other international geopolitical factors. But I think sooner or later, such infrastructure needs to be in place because more than half of the internet service application service is now in China, and actually they are providing this service at a much lower cost and a very good quality to end users. And there's no reason to block international users from using these services. This is like low-cost oil or natural gas. In Europe, the United States is blocking Russian gas, natural gas to transport to Europe by blocking the pipeline project to travel through Germany. And I think the digital infrastructure is facing similar challenges between China and the Latin American countries. But I think eventually it's going to happen because the cost benefit, the cost advantage is just too high. And there's no reason to sacrifice people's benefit for political reasons.
Very good, thank you. We have a question that I found it really interesting because you have that experience. I have to be honest, I didn't know that you were also working as a guest professor in Cali, Colombia. That surprised me, and I applaud actually your involvement with the Latin American region. And in your experience, because Álvaro Prieto is asking that because of that cultural barrier that exists, that I'm sure you have experience in when you started working here, and with the language barrier, what do you think, or how do you think the governments can help reduce or tear down those walls?
Es muy difícil no hablar español o no hablar chino. So we all know that if we don't know the language, it makes very difficult. That's why I'm learning Spanish. Mi estudiante de español un poco, pero día a día estudiar español. So if I don't learn the language, it's very difficult to understand the culture, understand the people, and to make effective communication. So in China, the students who are learning Spanish is now skyrocketed. So 10 years ago, we have less than 20 universities offering Spanish language programs. Now we have more than 140 universities, and also in some middle schools, they start to offer Spanish as the second foreign language. And we also know that in Latin America, there are lots of people learning Chinese. So I think the language is very, very, very important. And obviously, the government on both sides now realize this. And now they are promoting these programs, the language learning programs. And I think also just to learn language as if you are learning language is difficult. We actually to make more materials. So for example, when people learn English, they sometimes they learned that from the Peppa Pig, right? So or the
Friends, for example.
Yeah, Friends, like Mickey Mouse cartoon series. So now we need to introduce more Latin American element material to China. The word like hola, like adios, I actually learned by the Chinese people because they saw this in the cartoons or movies, and we basically need to introduce more. Actually, I think the Brazil and Colombia are both introducing their movies to China, so people can learn Spanish or at least immerse in Spanish when they are enjoying cultural material. I think we need to do more. So that's why we are building these virtual museums. And in this virtual museum, sometimes our virtual characters are speaking some Spanish. And that one helps people to understand.
And that's definitely the technology can help us actually learn better and faster and improve or increase the amount of opportunities people have to learn different languages. Of course, we need to do also our part in Latin America to learn a little bit more of Chinese. I know I need to go back to my Chinese classes because I forgot a lot of it since I came back. But in my opinion, culturally, it's not that hard. Maybe the language barrier, but the cultural barrier, I think it's possible to turn those walls down if we have increased more exchanges, and I think that's also important. Of course, the language takes a little bit more time, and I will take the moment to do some self-advertising, because we have another conference, with Professor Diego Guo about the academic cooperation between China and Latin America. So if you're interested in those topics, you can join that conference with Professor Guo, a very good friend of ours. And I think we should be wrapping this up because it's been taking us a little bit of time. I think people are very, very interested in these topics and how we can improve cooperation. Definitely education and the academia is it's a key in this in the digital Silk Road, from both sides. And as you mentioned, I think Chinese universities are very open to collaborate with universities in Latin America. So this, I think, it's something very positive that we can take from your presentation. Thank you very much, Professor Ro.
Thank you. Thank you. Con mucho gusto.
Excellent. Like, actually, your Spanish, I think, is better than my Chinese now. This is it's sad for me. I need to improve my Chinese. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining us today. Please remember, we have more conferences coming up in the following weeks. We have one next Thursday at 5 p.m. Central America time. And that one's going to be in Spanish. Thank you all for joining. Please don't forget to take the survey. I'm going to share the link again if you want to get the certificate. Thank you very much, Dr. Ro. I know it's very early in the morning in China, so we do appreciate your effort for being here. And I hope this is the first of many other opportunities we will have to share experiences, and why not think about possible projects that we can push and we can help build from Latin America and China in regards to technology, because the social sciences should not be excluded from the technological advances, and actually, they should go hand in hand. As you mentioned, we have a lot to offer when it comes to these exchanges and the development of technological cooperation between Latin America and China. Thank you very much. 谢谢. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure to be here with you, and hopefully see you in 2 days. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.